Are you mad though? Because it look like you mad though. I will be reviewing Dirty John Betty Season 2, Episode 7. And watching this episode, I feel like I was watching the Twilight Zone, and I felt like Betty was living in the Twilight Zone. And I was like, is Linda drinking the same Kool-Aid? In this episode, Linda was acting like Betty. Or is Dan attracted to crazy ladies? OMG. I like Linda is picking up her Betty bad habits. Okay? It starts off with Dan speaking in front of a bunch of law students. Talking about the California Civil Jury Instruction 1701 about, can a person's opinion be considered facts in a courtroom? And for you to be a winner lawyer, who perception do you deem to be true? And you will have to put your client first if you want to be a successful lawyer. Your client perception is number one in the courtroom. But as a lawyer, you have to prove their statement to be true by backing it up with facts in the courtroom. That anybody can express an opinion, but in a courtroom, it could be what is proven. Your client can be guilty, but if it's not proven that they're guilty, what are they? Innocent, because it has not been proven. And if you're not familiar of the famous case where the guy murdered his wife and a good lawyer said if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. I'm just saying. That's what it is. You have Linda entertaining her friends and getting ready for her bachelorette party, talking about Cabo. And when she's entertaining her friends, she is talking about Betty and her crazy antics that she be living on an answer machine. And her friends are engaging her and they like giggling how crazy Betty is and can't believe she did all this to Linda. I was like, if they was true friends, they would know Linda wasn't so innocent in this part, because as true friends, I would have asked her, did you not know this man was a married man, but yet you partake with him? Even though he was married, and even though you did not wait to have a relationship with him after he got the divorce, but you had relations while he was married. So Linda is so not innocent in this point. And I expect her friends to take her side, but they have to be holding Linda accountable for her actions as well, for sleeping with a married man. I'm not judging people who sleep with married men. What you do is your business. Nobody. Things happen in life that people mess around with married people. It happens. So we at Betty house, and I like how the camera crew caught the image of Betty being alone at home in the dark, and then you see half the part of the light. Cause you can't really tell what she's doing. She's writing down. You hear her thoughts of how she was being embarrassed or what she was going through, and then you see the camera zooms up. You see the camera zooms to her house coat, and it's something you don't really see what's in it. And then you see an empty box, which is like a gun case, and the gun is not in it. Then you see Linda sitting in the chair. Then you see a silhouette of the gun in her house coat. I like how they captured that though. I thought that was well done, of the dramatization of what she was doing in the kitchen. I thought that was well done. Betty's at home. She's on the phone with her friend. She getting a 411 about Dan's and Linda's wedding. How he's gonna have a morning coat for the wedding, how the wedding is gonna be on April and their honeymoon is gonna be in the Caribbean. And at this point, Betty is pissed and angry. Cause she tried to get him to do it and he didn't want to do it. So, I'm like, Betty, your mother warned you not to marry this guy. But yet, you overlooked your mama's warning to marry this guy. And at this point, Dan is just doing this out of spite to Betty. You have Betty playing on the floor with her boys, and they just having a good time. Her two boys and her just spending quality time. And something happened, and the boy gets mad and kicked the wall, and her house coat falls. He went to go pick it up, but at the end of the day, she stops him immediately. She said, "No, don't touch it. Don't touch it." I was like, oh, why she don't want him to touch it? I like, what is in that house coat? I like, Betty is showing her craziness. Because you have kids in the house and your gun is not locked up, but you have it in your house coat. And then she says, I have something to show you. I'm like, did she show these kids the gun? I hope she didn't do that. But I think she did. They don't really show it in there. But her language make it seem like she showed them the gun. I said, if parent is gonna have weapons in the house, it should be secured, locked up properly, where the children cannot get a hold of it. This is how children get killed in their homes. Because they find the gun and then they pull it and the bullet is inside of it. So, please be responsible gun owners if you have guns in the home. That's terrible. Just to imagine your kid get the hold of a gun and shoot it and he or she, and your child is gone. That's terrible. That would be a terrible feeling. Now, I'm like, whose fault would it be? It would be your fault as a parent because you do not secure the weapon in the home. Once again, Betty is showing her craziness. She dropped the boys' homes and the boys leave the door open, and she asks one of the boys to go get something from her daughter's room. And she takes this opportunity to step in the house, even though she is not wanted in the house. She takes Linda's guest invitations and the bachelorette party shirt. I like, Betty, would you put that back? That does not belong to you. Why is you taking that? What the hell she was planning to do with it? But you will see later what Betty does with the guest invitations. So the boy brings her whatever she asked for, it, so she leaves. I said at this point, Betty needs to respect people's boundaries and stop taking things that doesn't belong to you. Oh my God. I was like, will you put that back, girl? Linda at this point is stressing over the wedding. And she can't seem to find the invitations. And Linda is showing her Betty side. She is screaming at the boys and asking, did she come in this house? She is not supposed to be in this house. And she scared the boys by screaming at them. And Dan was like, it is not their fault. So stop screaming at them. Linda has this perception that when she married Dan, she would no longer have to put up with Betty. I like she will always have to put up with Betty because that is the mother of his children. They will always be connected for life because they have kids together. Here go crazy Betty at home. And what she doing is calling people from the wedding invitation list and telling them that they was not invited to the wedding. I like, these people should know if that. They should be asking, how do you know and why are you calling me about this? This ain't got nothing to do with you. And they should have never entertained her phone calls. So, Dan apologized to Linda for what happened on Betty's behalf of taking the invitations. And the son confesses to Dan that the mother has a gun, and the reason why she has the gun is because she's alone. And Linda overhears this, and Dan and Linda are both looking at each other in worry, panic, as well as they should be, because Betty is at work. She's decorating masses, and it is for Mardi Gras. And I love the masses. It was very beautiful. I always wanted to go Mardi Gras, but I would never go because it seemed like it's too crowded at Mardi Gras. But I would love to one day go to Mardi Gras. So somebody calls her at the job. They pulling a Betty move on Betty. They calling her. Nobody is saying nothing. She just keeps saying hello, hello, hello. And nobody says a word, and they hang up. And Linda is being crazy like Betty. She is in Betty's home. She is looking for the invitation, but she's found something better. She found Betty's diary. She reads it, but she don't have enough time because the maid came in and caught her in Betty's house. I like Linda is an amateur, because Betty would have never got caught. They would have known Betty did it, but they would have never caught Betty in the house. They never would have caught Betty in the house. And so Linda tells the maid she's just a friend. I don't understand why white people don't lock their doors. It's always been a mystery to me. People lock your doors. Why? I don't care. If you want somebody to come into your home, please give them just a spare key. Why they don't lock their doors, I don't understand. But at the end of the day, the maid tells Betty when she arrived, and Betty thinks it's one of her friends, and she's not putting the pieces together of who was in her home. And it's making her crazy right now at this point. Betty is getting the taste of her own medicine. Linda shows Dan the diary. And Dan is like, what the hell you get this from? You need to go put this back. You don't do what Betty do. We are above that. I'm like, Dan, not so much. You the one plotted and planned and schemed your way to get Betty out of your life. You can't be that much above Betty and your scandalous behavior. Oh my God. Now he acting like he mighty than Betty. After all the things he have done to Betty, not so much. Dan is not that innocent as well. Betty is at court, and Dan and Linda is not there. I was wondering why they wasn't there, because they had a plan. And this was their plan. So the judge planned to withhold financial support against Betty, because Betty was denying that she had this invitation, and her choice was to return it or she don't get no financial support. So Betty was between a rock and a hard place, because she really didn't want to return it. But when that judge said we gonna withhold financial support, Betty came to her senses a little bit, just a little bit, and she returned it. She was upset about it, but she returned it though. So after the court, Betty comes home and she see her diary on the floor when she walks in the door, and she thinks she going crazy. Betty thinks she's in the twilight zone. What the hell is going on? She don't think she getting a taste of her own medicine. They doing back what she did to them. And she like, how is my diary on the floor? Oh my God, I don't know what the hell is going on. And I don't even think she knew that they put it there. Betty is at home like for days. Look like she going crazy inside the house. She look like she's in a trance or something like that. And I feel like I do feel sad for Betty. because I don't want nobody to go through that. That's like a sad feeling, to feel like you have no support. But the support that she did have, she basically drove them away by talking about Dan and Linda a lot instead of moving on with her life. So Dan and Linda is at home. They talking to this guy. I'm assuming he's security for the wedding, because they think Betty is gonna show up and ruin the wedding. I said only if they knew Betty has something else in mind. So Betty is on the phone talking to her friend, talking about what they gonna do during the day of the wedding, so they can keep Betty's mom distracted off the wedding, Dan and Linda, so they can have a peaceful wedding. And this was the friend that actually went through the divorce first. And when Betty was trying to reach out to her as well when she went through the divorce, but she never reached back to Betty at that time. And Betty want to get a bedazzled watch with the married date of Dan and her when they got married, which I think is crazy. What would be the purpose of that? I would not want something like that. At this point, Betty's mind is out there. It's gone. There is no coming back from this. Her mind is out there. Betty has a big white cake that says happy 20th anniversary. I'm like, why do we have this cake? I like, what is the purpose and the sentimental of this cake? The significance of that cake is that Betty is stuck in the past, and it's like she can't move on with her life. But in this case, Betty was not trying to move on to rebuild her own life and have a healthy life with another significant other or with her children. Two of Betty friends meet and they coming up. They came with a pager to have codes if Betty is on the prowl on the day of Dan's and Linda wedding. They coming with all kind of codes. 911 if they don't see her, if she missing or something like that. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. That means this is showing you how Betty is on the deep end and could snap at any moment. I'm assuming Dan is having a bachelor party at his house, and one of his friends is talking to him, saying how some people is not gonna show for the wedding if they think Betty have them on their hit list. I don't want to laugh, but I'm like, yo, they think Betty is gonna come after them. I like, well, I wouldn't attend either, because nobody want to go to a wedding and then get shot up. That would be terrible. Terrible. Dan think they don't have nothing to worry about. It's gonna be security. It is the day of Dan's and Linda wedding, and it was successful. Betty did not show up. Betty was at home with her friend dancing, telling her story about her life, and I was dancing with them, child. I like, yeah, I was dancing right along with them. Ain't nothing like a partying by yourself to get you out of the dumps. But did it really help? Because at the end of the day, the lady left. It was nighttime, and Betty did not seem like she was better. Linda and Dan come back from their honeymoon, and Linda plays the answer machine, and she is so ecstatic to hear her voice on the answer machine, because she is no longer a girlfriend but a wife now. So this give her more ammunition to throw in Betty's face. Betty is talking to her therapist, and he tells her how stubborn she is and she needs to reduce her expenses. That means she have to reduce her living quarters. She have to move out the house and find a smaller place, less expensive place. She is talking to her sons, and to come to find out, she won't be spending time with them, and Dan will be taking the children to the Notre Dame soccer thing with Linda and Tracy and the boys. And this puts Betty, I guess, more in a depression state. So her friends are having lunch. And Betty drops by. They looking at each other like, who told this lady we was here? She must have seen their car. They really didn't want Betty to be there. Why? Because Betty goes straight in and talking about Dan's relationship with Linda, which it is dominating the conversation, and her friends probably really don't want to talk about it. They rather talk about something else, but that's all Betty wants to talk about. Tracy is with Betty and talk about the altercation between her and Linda of what they, and Betty is mad, and then Tracy stops because she is tired of her mama, and she's like, it's not like that, and she walks away and goes somewhere else. I think Betty did that on purpose because Betty stole the keys out of Tracy's pocketbook, and I'm like, oh, Betty, her sticky fingers. She don't just take one key, she just don't take a little key, she just take the whole damn key. Oh, I'm like, this girl not gonna know her whole keys is not missing. Oh my god. Linda and Dan is at the dinner table, and they having a conversation with one of their friends, and they spill the beans. Linda is expecting a baby, a new addition. I like, that was really fast. Betty is dining out with her friend, and she's talking about how she's not gonna have the children for holidays, and how she's gonna be sad. And then Betty comes out and asks her friend, is Linda pregnant? I'm like, first of all, how did Betty know that? And why did she ask that? And how did she get that information? Because the lady didn't mention nothing. And the lady said, how am I supposed to know that? I'm like curious how she knew that information. One of her sons is spending time with her at the house, and he tells her that he wanted to spend time with her and he didn't want to go with them. And Betty starts breaking down, crying in tears. The son tells her to go to bed. She goes to bed. The son later comes, is in the bed. I guess he put himself on the bed. Betty gets up. Betty gets up from the bed, and then she goes and get the keys that she had in the cookie jar and then put it in her purse. You see her sitting in the car, just with crazy mascara, looking crazy and everything. And then she goes into her home. Then you hear everybody phones ringing off, and everybody is waking up. They don't know what's going on. They I can't hear what you're saying. I think this is the deed that Betty has done. She has done the act. She has took two people's lives in possibility of an unborn child. Could therapy ever helped Betty? I don't think so. Betty's mind was too far gone for therapy. She was beyond obsession that she couldn't see no other way out. As humans, we don't have a right to take another person's life, no matter what they have done to us. If they have not physically harmed us, and you're not doing it in self-defense, you shouldn't be taking no one's life. She took the father of her children's life away from her children. Her children no longer have a father anymore. She didn't give Linda unborn child a chance to live a prosperous life. This is why God says, put on your whole armor. You have to guard your mind from wicked thoughts, because your thoughts could go so deep that you might not see another solution out of your problem. Because if Betty wasn't so obsessed with them, she could have moved on with her own life, remarried, because she only saw one option, was to kill and murder. And that is not the only way. But God says, vengeance is mine, said the Lord. I will let God do the revenges of my enemies. And God says, don't rejoice when your enemies has fallen. I wonder if Betty would have took it back. Would she ever do this? Would she do it all over again? Or would she have made another choice? I believe if Betty's mind wasn't so far gone, she could have had a prosperous life. Her children would have had both parents, and she wouldn't have had her life taken away. Because now she's sitting in prison for life, and she forever die in prison. I wish everybody love and prosperity.